Afternoon, everyone. I'm going to do a journey to God today. I did a bunch of journeys recently, and there was one I went to a person, and because somebody asked me to. I do journeys all the time for people, and one of the things that was fascinating is how God receives prayer. It was like when a person was praying, it was like a cone of energy that came out of the mouth and got bigger and bigger and bigger and God was like the backdrop of the world, like you see the world and the energy come around, and God was receiving that energy. And when God moved, the whole space moved with him. This is how I interpret it. I see God in many different ways. And this is one of the more unique things. And I never interrupted the man's prayer. And it was a very honorable, beautiful man that was doing the praying. So you honor that until the man is done, and then you have the ability to go to God. And it was like one of those things that sometimes you're tested to see if you're going to interrupt, because interruption of somebody that is putting their heart into something is not okay. It's not correct. You have to allow a person to speak. And praying is one of those very intimate aspects of who you are, and should be honored for that, no matter what religion you are, what belief system you have. And praying is simply talking to someone. It could be your mother, it could be your father, it could be the spirit realm, it could be all the things that we think God is, or an aspect of somebody that has passed away. Praying should be honored and respected for what it is, because people do it because they need to. And I think that alone is a very powerful message, and that was coming from God directly to me. And I did allow the man to finish speaking, because it was about that man. It was the man a good person, and he ended up becoming a beautiful person. And he was Muslim, and somebody asked me to go check to see what this person was about. I'm not going to say who it was. It doesn't matter. Importance is, it doesn't matter who and where you come from. There's beautiful people all over the world. There's beautiful people all over the world. It doesn't matter what color you are, what sex you are, what gender you are. It doesn't matter any of that. It's your actions. It's what you do in life that's important. And this is what I'm picking up from, I'm not channeling God, but in a way I am, because he wants people to, this is a very powerful, important message, because there's so many people in the world that feel if you're not that specific religion, God doesn't want to speak to you. That is not true. It doesn't matter if you're gay, if you're a lesbian, if you're straight. It doesn't matter. And that's important, because he doesn't care. It's the actions that are important. It's what you do that is important. It's how you treat each other that's important. If you throw judgment into it, it's not God. God is not judgment. And that judgmental God is not the God that I believe in. It's not the God that I experience. It's not the God that I have come to love. He doesn't want me to be his servant. He wants me to be myself. He wants me to be the best part of who I am. And he's kind of giving me a thumbs up on that. That's what he wants. He wants us to become the best of ourselves, not be beaten down and get hung up on little things. There's so many people are hung up on little things that are important, that are not important. To look at life as something that is beautiful, even when it's hard, because hard things makes us better people, as long as we rise above the hardship. And when we get lost in the pain and the suffering, he feels it as well. This is one of the things I've known, because he pulled something out of my heart, and I felt it, and he felt it. I felt him feeling it. It was beautiful. And he actually feels it right alongside of us, with us. Because we are one, we are together, we are part of God. So he feels our pain. He's not going to take away our pain, because it is for us to learn from that experience, to grow from that experience, to be the best of ourselves. And the only way to do that is to rise above, to embrace the experience. And no blaming. There is no blame. It is experience. It is what we choose to experience in our lives. It is what we choose to come here to overcome. So we can't blame God for our misguidance, our misunderstanding, our corruption, our hate, our sadness, our anger, because He is all that. Because He is all part of us, and He experienced everything with us. When we cry, He cries. When we feel pain, He feels pain. But He's not there to take any of that away, because He is part of everything. Toyan moyane. And He is love. And so are we. Be good to each other. It's amazing. You go through life and people prejudge you as soon as they see you. They prejudge you based on things that happen on a one-sided situation. You can't base anything from one side. You have to see both, if you can. That's the hard part, though, isn't it? Is to be able to see both sides of a situation. And even getting the answers on both sides is hard sometimes. But it's amazing when you take an individual and you are frustrated with that person. But then you actually go to that person and talk to that person, hear their side of the story, and you go, wait a second here. I never looked at that in that perspective. I never seen it that way. I never actually seen it that way. Wow. Now I start to understand why you are the way you are and why you reacted the way you did. And a lot of the times you get blamed for something. You're like, what? I didn't do that. Because the other person was hearing only one side of the story. They weren't able to ever really truly understand what was going on because they only heard part of the story. So the story becomes something else. It's like when you complain about a person to a friend, but that's all they ever hear is the complaint. They never hear anything positive. Say you're just there complaining about an individual. When we do that, we're not given the true story of what is actually happening here. They're not actually hearing the other person's side. So when they talk to the other person, they go, wait a second, that's not what I understood. I thought you were an asshole. So be very careful when you're talking about other people, because it's so easy to sit there and complain about something, but you need to also be why you're complaining and also the other sides of it that make that individual who they are. It's so easy just to simply complain about people, about things, without truly understanding their side of it. So God wants me to tell you that there's always another side to a story. So before we actually pass judgment isn't the right word, but that's I'll just use that because judgment is a huge thing that we do every day. Is that you can't judge unless you hear the truth on both sides. And then your truth is not necessarily accurate either because my system and how I grew up, it teaches me how to be this way. That person's on both sides, so you have A and B, also have their own life experiences. So why B might be a certain way and you disagree with it, B was only ever taught to be that way. And A was only taught to be that way, and you're only taught to be that way. Because everything we experience, we become that individual. So instead of judging someone, maybe talk to them. Give them your side of the story. Give them your experience in life. They might not change. And if you're around a person that doesn't really suit what you believe in, maybe it's time that you don't come around that person anymore. You don't hate them, because hate is something that's destructive, it's negative, it's a force of, it's just a force that you don't want to use. Because one of the things that was brought forward recently to me is that, because God is speaking through me right now, is I was told to write down 4 things that you want to represent. It represents you. It could be 5, it could be 6, it could be 7, it could be 10. But the shorter it is, he's saying between 3 and 7, don't go higher than that. Because if you go too much, it gets too easy to steer away from it. So even if you can do 3 is a little bit low. 4 is good, and 7 is also good, but no higher than that. These things, these words, one word represents who you are. So when you put those words down on a piece of paper. So when you look at something, when you make judgments on things, or not judgments is wrong, when you make decisions, when you want to talk to somebody, when you want to live your life, are you living your life around those 7 things that you want to be and who you think you are? Because as soon as you start writing them down, you start to realize that, what the hell? I was living in frustration and upset, hate, confusion. I was using negative energy instead of positive energy. For instance, one of them was love. Okay, love is very wide. So are you love, or are you using anger? Anger is the opposite of love. So when you find that if you're using anger to resolve an issue, you need to go back to love. How would love deal with that situation? And you could be respect. Are you being respectful? It's not simply respectful to the other person. Are you being respectful of yourself? Because you can be loving and respectful, but you don't let people walk over you, because that is not being respectful to who you are. It's amazing how powerful that is, because it brings us back to, okay, I'm acting this way. Is it following what I really want to be in my life? No, it's not. So how can I resolve the situation by using the things over here? And it's not mean being a pushover. It means you have to resolve the situation using the things that are true to yourself, even if it's harder. Because you can get angry, but is it actually what you want to be? It's very powerful if you do it. It works quite well, actually. It keeps you focused on a morality belief system, which is important. Because as soon as you go out of the belief system, you throw yourself out of balance. Because if you are this and you are acting like this becomes, the right becomes more and more balance, or not balance, more and more louder. Because everything you say continues. Everything you do continues. So if you say hate all the time and negativity all the time, that's becoming very, very, very loud in the universe. So that keeps coming back to you. The more positive things you say and do, that becomes louder and louder. So you want the things that you are and want to be louder than the things you don't want to be. And the words that you speak are extremely important. And he wants me to repeat that. The words that you speak are extremely important, because they don't stop repeating themselves. So he wants the left A column to be higher on the scale than the B column. And the B is the things that are the opposite of what you want to be. They have to be. Otherwise, you're out of balance. You become more of the B instead of the A. And the more B you become B, the more you become like a chaos situation. And after a while, you won't even know what A is anymore. That's why writing them down and repeatedly looking at them will bring you back to what that is. It surprisingly works quite well. For some reason, simple words, am I following this, brings you back from something that you just shake your head. It's like, oh my God, I was actually doing that? It's pretty amazing how simple things can be, and little tricks like that work very, very well. So what is God? Is everything, part of ourselves. So I'm just looking at, I'm kind of speaking to him. That's why periodically I stop and I just contemplate, because he's actually talking to me. So I'm going to go more into the state, the journey state. And he even talks about, he's talking about fear, I believe. He's showing me something that's vibrating. And it's vibrating, it's going up and down, and it's in the dark. And he shows me something it's like somebody shaking a can, and it's in the dark, and he's shaking, and then he's showing me an actual orb that's releasing energy all the time, and it goes out and expands all around, and it shows it going out and out and out, and it's like helping people. It's like going out and constantly being positive and wanting to, like, looking under the stones, and just you're looking at detail of things around you. You're very tactile, you're very loving, you're very respectful of people and of the things around you. You see things with detail. So you just don't walk down the street, you're actually walking, and you're experiencing the things around you. Is it raining? Is it sunny? Is it like cold? Is it warm? Is it windy? Is it calm? What color is the paint on the house that you walk by? What does the windows look like? What's the door look like? What's the fence, if there's any fence? Do they have grass? Do they have flowers? What is like? Who are the people that you walk by? What do they look like? And the other one is just shaking. It's like you're inside yourself, and the can just keeps shaking. And the can's getting fatter and fatter and fatter. And your head, I look at this person, their head is down, and they're angry, and they're upset. And then the can explodes. And they freak out, and they're screaming at nothing. So what energy do you want to work with? One that is constantly releasing energy, and when they see something that isn't right, they look into it right away to try to correct it. And I know somebody that does this all the time. But they also get lost in the darkness sometimes. I find myself doing that too as well. But when you do that, you need to bring yourself back out of the darkness. You need to look into the situations of why you are so, when you fall into that aspect, you need to get out of it as soon as possible. But you also need to know why you went there in the first place. So a person should constantly be monitoring themselves, their health, their well-being. Not fixating on it, not being paranoid, but be aware. Okay, I'm gaining weight. Well, what is creating me to gain weight? Oh, it's this food. Well, what the hell am I eating the food for? Change it. Take it out of your diet. Eat the things that make your body feel good, not the things that make your body feel bad. There's a reason why we have pain. There's a reason why it just teaches us that we're doing something we're not really meant to do. So, like, stretching is a good example. You can stretch till it feels painful, and then you relax, and then you can go a little further and a little further. But if you just simply go rip everything, that's not healthy for your body. It's not healthy for your spirit. It's not healthy for your soul. So we feel pain because something is not right. And it could be pain for somebody that dies, somebody that you love. So you need to ask yourself, why is the pain there? And basically look at it, nurture it, figure it out, not bottle it away inside so it comes out like a volcano, like an explosion. We're not supposed to do that. We're supposed to be aware of things. And it's good for your mind to be constantly aware. It's good for you. We become too complacent, it becomes unbalanced. We don't see things anymore. We can walk right by a person that's dying on the street and we wouldn't even know. Wouldn't even care because we're too wrapped up within ourselves, within our own hate, our own hatred. I hate everyone. And you fall into darkness and you can't get out and everything's wrong. Everybody hates me. I don't love myself. So being aware of your environment, being aware of your emotions, being aware of the pain, all pain, is to teach us to better ourselves, to understand ourselves, because when we do that, our mind becomes alive. It starts activating parts of our brain that we don't use very often. Because if we use our brain this way, we're using our brain the way it's meant to be used. It's meant to study. It's meant to learn. It's meant to not be bombarded with the same thing day after day after day after day after day. The same emotion, the same thought, the same stimulation. We're supposed to be constantly exploring. Because you could walk down the same street 30 times and never experience the same thing. There's always going to be something different. Well, what is different today? What is different on the walk today? Is there a butterfly there that wasn't there the day before? Is there a child playing with their toys? Is the sky blue today? Yesterday it was raining. Yesterday before that was overcast. Are the clouds different? What do the clouds look like? What are the sounds I'm hearing? Oh, that's where it's coming from. Oh, that's what it is. Close your eyes. Listen. What are the sounds? And then place a picture to the sounds when you open your eyes. Is it what you thought it was? Or is it something different? This is life. This is living. Thank you very much, everyone. That's the journey I did. It's very short, but straight to the point. And it's beautiful. I think it's a beautiful message. And if you wish to do a journey with me, you can visit my website at almonrosawakening.com or my Northern Light pages at Joseph Prayer Auroras and hiddenaurora-spirits.com. Thank you very much, everyone, again. Please like and share my video. Give it a thumbs up. Comments. Please comment because I want to know what you guys want me to do journeys on. Sometimes I get busy and I can't do everything. Sometimes I hear comments and a month later I forget about them. So constantly commenting on is helping me better myself, and it actually gives me better ideas. Thank you very much and have a great day.